Okay, so this will be my playground for sharing my YouTube journey, posting on YouTube, trying to really lock in, freaking get monetized, build a business behind the scenes that actually generates income. And it's actually 5 years into my YouTube journey. So I've been posting on my main channel for about 5 years. I started off incredibly consistent and I was posting once a week for about a year and a half. Lots of those videos are now archived because they look something like this.
And I guess first I just wanted to say that these are my personal experiences. I just want to share my reflections and my thoughts and what I'm learning as I'm going through life. Let's begin.
And then I got a job in consulting, and consulting is really freaking intense. So I wasn't actually able to keep up my schedule and it kind of fell off the radar a little bit. I was doing maybe one every couple of weeks and then sometimes one a month. And I've always wanted to really come back to YouTube consistently and give it my proper go. And at the moment, I'm on a sabbatical. It's a career break from my consulting job where I can return to it after a year is done. I'm more than halfway through that year now, and I'm doing a dance degree during this time, but that's a whole other story. And during this time, I'm taking this opportunity to really freaking lock in and get YouTube to work because I'm absolutely determined to open some doors for myself. And because I've been doing it for so long, this is the clearest avenue that I have that I can see that I want to really push for. So I've been focusing on YouTube. I've been managing to post more than once a week. I've been doing 2 videos per week occasionally and then 1 a week minimum for the past about 3 months or so. And I'm really trying to hustle. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I have learned through this journey of trying to come back in, full force and really go for it because my time is running out and I really, really, really need to make this work. Thing number 1 to share is consistency. This is the stuff that everyone struggles with because I was one of those people too. For several years, I couldn't make it work again to be consistent like that. The thing that I remember helping when I was first starting my journey and I was posting consistently for that first year and a bit was that I've made it a non-negotiable. I just religiously dedicated the weekend completely to recording. But it was easy because it was the pandemic times. So what I've done is just completely lock myself up with my laptop, glued to the screen. I would record, I would edit, and I would post within the space of sometimes 1 day, but usually 2 days because editing was taking me a really long time. Now, the thing that's really motivating me is the fact that I have a very harsh deadline. If I don't make this work, then I'm going back to my job. And let me tell you, I would love to have other options. At the moment, I am very much motivated by fear, which I know is not the best strategy. I think it's best when you don't have the pressure and you actually, create out of the love of making videos or the topic you're talking about. But honestly, for me, I've always been a deadline person. I really managed to get stuff done. I really freaking go for it and I do whatever it takes to get stuff done when I have a deadline pushing. So I'm hoping that maybe this is one of those situations where having such a harsh deadline will actually make me do all the work that I need to do to get there. But it's not a guarantee. Nothing on YouTube is a guarantee. So I am going to just do my absolute best. At the moment, I am dedicating at least 1 day on the weekend to record. Today is that day. And then I use almost all of my evenings during the week to do the editing, the thumbnail and description and posting. I take much more time now actually to plan the videos, come up with thumbnails and come up with the titles before I record. This is something that's changed for me since I started because before I would just record whatever I want and then I would come up with the title and the thumbnail once I've done it. And I think that works if that's what you need to do to actually get the fear of recording out of the way. But because now I'm following the best practice instead of the, just get it done. Done is better than perfect advice. Now I'm actually trying to infuse the way that I do things with best practice. Best practice includes things like coming up with the packaging before you record. It's thinking about your hook and actually scripting your hook word for word. And then also having a call to action at the end, having a whole ecosystem to capture emails. And we can talk about that in other videos. But for now, I just want to say that I've become way more consistent. But what that means is all of my free time is going to this. This is not an easy, you just do several hours per week and then your YouTube skyrockets and then you're making money. This is not the story for most people. It's definitely not been the case for me. And as much as I can have that dream of, oh, it just takes one video, it's probably not going to be one video. It's probably going to be more like hundreds. And I'm at about 86, I think it is, on my main channel right now. Lots of my early videos are archived, so I'd imagine I'm at least 100, but probably more than that. On average, I think it takes about 150 or something like that videos for people to get monetized on YouTube. So I'm not even, I'm not even behind. I just need to get that content out, get it done. And the more content that you put out that is good enough quality, the more chances you have for something to pop off. That's where we're at. I also forgot to tell you, but on my main channel, the niche that I'm going for at the moment is working with new leaders who just got promoted into a leadership role in their organization, and then helping them nail the visibility, the public speaking, the authority, the communication, all of the expectations that come with becoming someone who is a leader, not just a manager or someone who is mid-career. I've chosen that niche for this lock-in period because this is where my craft skills are. Craft skills are something that you may know from your job, from your profession, and I worked in a Big Four consulting firm. That's where I niche down into organizational culture and leadership development. So I've worked with a lot of senior leaders on exactly this sort of stuff. So I'm basically trying to find the shortcuts from what I have experience in and credibility in. Big Four is a good credibility tick that I've been using very openly, and trying to find something that has the best opportunity to work for me in terms of profitability, in terms of targeting the audience that would actually have the money to pay for stuff like coaching, and also the area that I would genuinely be able to help in. So I've done a lot of brainstorming, and I've also I flip-flopped a lot. I've had an Instagram channel that was dedicated to my dance journey, and I kept that up very consistently for several months. I think about 3 or 4 months I was posting every single day, and that definitely burned me out. And then I've realized that there's no money in the dance niche, so maybe it's not my best bet. The thing that I have been realizing through this is that if I started with one niche, one audience, from the very beginning of this year off that I have, from September, because I'm doing a degree, so it's an academic year that I'm kind of taking off, September to end of August. And if I stuck with one thing for this long, I think it would have worked by now. And it's a very harsh realization, and I'm realizing it just now after I flip-flopped through several different options and I tried to build several different things. I'm now realizing that focus really beats anything else. You need to be focused. You need to be committed to one thing for long enough, and then your chances of it working increase dramatically. I think the thing that trips a lot of people up with YouTube, and I'm so glad that I'm still here 5 years, and I really pride myself on that. I think the reason why most YouTubers fail is they don't do it long enough. They don't do it long enough for something to work, for something to pop off, because you can't predict when that's going to be. So here I am 5 years in, still trying, and now I have this new YouTube channel where I can just freely post my YouTube journey diaries, which feels much less pressured, and I also don't need to be super professional in here. I can be in my Jurassic World t-shirt, which I really love. So here I can be way more transparent, way more honest about the actual challenges that I'm facing, in case you can also relate. So let me talk about a couple more things that I've realized throughout this time. One is I am very much not relying on AdSense. And I know that in the title I probably said something about monetization and that sort of stuff, but by monetization I mean not just YouTube AdSense, but I actually am very much striving to build a business that uses YouTube as a lead generator. The reason being that AdSense is very hard to make any decent income from, and if you also consume a lot of content like I do about YouTube strategy, and if you've been really active on the platform the past couple of years, you'll know full well that actually the thing that will make you most money is if you have an offer that is tied to your channel, and then you just use your channel as almost a marketing funnel, as something that gets you the distribution and reaches the right people, and then that funnels them down to, say, a lead magnet, or to a paid offer straight away. So the thing that I'm not doing now is I'm not trying to go viral. I'm not trying to make my content for everyone and for the broadest audience possible. I'm actually trying to really pin down what is my ideal customer avatar. And then from there, I am building my ecosystem. I do have an email capturing landing page. I have a lead magnet that I think I need to improve because I don't think it's actually resonating fully with the people that I'm targeting in my videos. It's got like a tiny little bit of mismatch in the positioning and the way that I phrase it. And then I have a paid offer, which is at the moment just one-on-one coaching. So this is how I've set it up for now. I think ideally at some point I would start to write emails to the people on my email list. It's not many at all at the moment, it's just a handful, but I think that would be the best practice way of doing it, and that's the way that I want to do it, because you have a much better chance of earning from an actual paid thing that you've made, as opposed to relying on AdSense and having monetization as this big milestone. I think most people hit that big milestone and then they earn, I don't know, £1. And then you can't even get that pound because there's a threshold below which YouTube doesn't actually pay out the thing that you've earned. Anyway, the other thing I've realized through trial and error, a lot of error, is the 80-20 of the YouTube game. I think before I kind of thought that, okay, filming and what you're talking about is the main thing. That's what YouTube is about. And then, annoyingly, editing takes freaking ages, like hours, sometimes half a day. And that I thought was the bulk of the YouTube game. And I was hearing a lot of people on YouTube talk about the packaging. And of course, I recognized the packaging is important. And I would try and make the thumbnails like decent after I filmed and then come up with a decent title. But I wasn't doing proper research into my titles and thumbnails and ideas. I wasn't actually planning the way that I would approach a particular topic, like what angle am I going to take that will really address my ideal person. I wasn't doing that long enough. I wasn't planning, ideating and packaging long enough. What I'm realizing now is that actually packaging is the 80 of the YouTube game. For the first time in a very long time, I recently had a video actually kind of pop off by my channel standards, which are very low. I had a video reach almost 1,000 in a couple of days, and that is very big for me. And it was because I titled it in a way that spoke to a very emotional response in people. I talked about the way a white middle-aged man named Richard would talk at work to actually be seen as someone with authority, leadership skills, and all of that stuff. And the way that I came up with that is because that's the way I phrase it to myself when I think about how can I sound more confident. That's the way that I've been phrasing it to people. If you're really downplaying your expertise, think about how a white middle-aged man named Richard would talk about it. And I realized something, that actually all of the stuff where I was trying to craft a perfect title, make it the 5 ways to and the how to, it doesn't actually work anymore, because a lot of YouTube now is relying on browse in the same way that Instagram does and TikTok does. It just feeds you things, and then once you see them, you need to be engaged enough and curious enough to actually click through. If you don't click through, that's it. No one watches your video, and all the effort that you've gone through to actually record it and edit it, completely wasted. And I have so many videos like that have maybe 50 views, something like that. And I'm not saying that 50 views is negligible, because yes, it's 50 people, but 50 compared to 1,000 is a huge, huge jump for me. And I have just been faced with the fact that your title and your thumbnail are 80% of the game. So it's really worth taking more time to ideate it, and then if it's not performing well, tweaking it, because then YouTube tries it another time and feeds it to another few test audience members to see if that performs better. So for example, recently my latest video on the other channel, I titled it in a particular way that I thought would do decently well, completely flopped, and then I tweaked one thing and now it's performing better already. I'll finish it here for my first update because it's already very long, but this is all the stuff that's been on my mind recently, and I'll be sharing the journey here more. If there's particular stuff you want to know, then let me know in the comments, and also where you're at yourself with your journey. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.